Welcome to East West Health Radio. Meet the innovators of functional medicine, stem cell therapy, and health optimization programs. Our purpose is to transform the current healthcare system from a sick care and symptom management system to a true healthcare and health optimization model by understanding and addressing the root cause of health problems. This program is to help educate you to have better health. It's East West Health Radio.
And welcome, everybody. I am your host, Cade Archibald, the clinic director at East West, and I got right next to me Justin Lane, our infamous acupuncturist, Chinese, what should I say there?
Chinese medicine extraordinaire.
There we go. All right. Sorry.
And functional medicine.
There we go. Nice. All right. So today you guys are in for a wonderful treat. We're going to be talking about food. So 13 nutritional lies that keep us fat and sick. So that's our topic. So if anyone has any questions or wants to call in, the number to call in the radio station is 435-673-1450. So give us a call if you want to ask any questions. So Justin, what are the 13 foods that are going to keep us fat and sick?
Well,
these lies, I guess. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, these are the top 13, and this is really just the tip of the iceberg. So when we think about food, we put contextualized food in terms of it being medicinal. So food is medicine, meaning eat the right food, feel better. Eat the wrong food, feel worse. And for some of you out there, that might resonate, even just with some symptoms you might be experiencing, like bloating or gas or constipation or diarrhea or any number of digestive symptoms. Good chance they're probably food-related as well. So the top 13, number one, is that eggs are bad for your health. That one has been, I've heard that pretty much since the 1980s on. And typically it's just not true. They've been demonized essentially because they do have cholesterol, which was believed to increase the risk of heart disease. If you guys remember, there was a study came out way back in the 50s. It was a Harvard study that sort of demonized saturated fat, which consequently was just shown recently, the last few months, to have been funded by the sugar industry.
Whoops.
So, yeah, fat's bad because sugar is good, right? Wrong. But essentially, we talk about eggs. Eggs are excellent because they're really loaded with a lot of protein, a lot of healthy fats and vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. And there's a key nutrient in there called choline, which is really essential for brain health. And so talk about 90% of the population really not getting enough brain health.
Yeah, I forgot to take my choline, obviously, because I couldn't even think of what to say after Chinese medicine. So
yeah, we got you covered, yeah. Cade, no worries. So yes, the bottom line here with eggs being at number one is that eggs are among the most nutritious foods on the planet. Of course, you want to find the right type of eggs. You typically want to find organic eggs or pasture raised, meaning the hens have a lot of room to move and not just necessarily a door. I don't know if those of you that are aware that a food can be called cage free with a door on the shack. But that just means that they're packed in there really tight, and legally they've covered their basis for making it free range by giving a little door for the chickens to come in and out of. Those types of chickens are still bred under a lot of stress, so the eggs typically don't taste as good, but they're also not eating GMO-free grain as well. So you want to find eggs, happy chickens, as our coworker would like to say, who has chickens, by the way.
That's right. Yeah, one thing to notice, or one thing to note on eggs, you want to pay attention if you have a sensitivity to eggs, because we've seen a lot of people that actually have a immune response to albumin. That's the protein in egg. Yep. So you want to pay attention to that. But yeah, good eggs are if you don't have a sensitivity to eggs, they are phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely, and they don't raise the risk of heart disease. So that's been proven to not be true.
Yeah, they don't even impact your cholesterol numbers, do they?
No, not really. And sugar would impact your cholesterol numbers more than anything because they cause inflammation. It causes inflammation. That's typically associated with higher cholesterol.
What's the second risk? Or the second lie.
The second lie is a calorie, right? Theoretically, in a lab, that sounds true, meaning, your fat calories typically are higher by double, typically, than a carbohydrate or a protein calorie. So when you talk about in a laboratory vial, that may be true, but in the body, it's a completely different story. So typically, we talk about calories in, calories out. For those of you out there who've tried weight loss programs, and you usually end up gaining more weight in the long run, calories are not created equal in that sense. And so we look at different types of calories and how they function in the body. A healthy fat calorie actually will speed up your metabolism. It's engineering your nerves and your brain cells. All the cells of your body really thrive on healthy fats. They need that for the coating of the nerves and nerve and cell function. So that actually will rev up your metabolism, help you lose weight if you're eating the right type of healthy fats. So calories are not calories. Here's an example as to why. When we talk about, for example, protein, eating protein can boost your metabolic rate and reduce your appetite compared to the same amount of calories from fat and carbs. So think about your breakfast out there. If you're eating a lot of cereals and grains, typically for breakfast, there's a lot of sugar, and typically you'll get pretty hungry within a couple of hours. And you start getting on this blood sugar high and low throughout the day. So if you start your day out, for example, with some good healthy fats, coconut oil or avocado oil or avocados, that's going to make you feel full longer and also help you lose weight in the end. Also increases your muscle mass. And so bottom line is basically all calories are not created equal. Different foods go through different metabolic pathways in the body and have different effects on hunger, hormones, and your overall health.
Wow. So, but it makes sense, especially if you're eating a bunch of calories that are going to be inflammatory. Your body's not going to be able to recover effectively if you are exercising, and a lot of things like that.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. And I think a lot of exercise programs are still structured on that calorie in, calorie out model. Yep. So while it's true if you're burning more than you're consuming, you're going to lose some weight. Typically, you want to make sure you're getting the right types of calories for optimal metabolism.
Yeah. And that's not really sustainable.
No.
Long-term wise.
You don't want to starve yourself. Starvation does a whole other thing to the human body, which is not healthy at all. So.
All right. Well, what's lie number 3?
Number 3 is saturated fat is unhealthy. Okay. For many decades, we've believed that eating saturated fat can increase the risk of heart disease. But in fact, this idea has been the cornerstone of mainstream nutrition recommendations. But studies published in the past few decades prove that saturated fat is completely harmless. Now, I have a caveat there, and that is that obviously we don't want to go out there and eat lots of leftover bacon fat just for the fun of it.
Dang it.
Or any omega-6 type fats like your vegetable oils, soybean oil, canola oil. Those are all inflammatory oils. So those are not healthy. But typically, there's no association between a saturated fat consumption and the risk of heart disease. So you may have risk of systemic inflammation, but typically if you are eating good fats that are saturated, it really is not going to relate to your increased risk of heart disease. Usually we'll do the opposite, actually. Now, there's no reason, again, to fear butter, good butter, grass-fed butter, no antibiotics or hormones. Good clean meat, same thing, grass-fed beef, pasture-raised organic chickens, coconut oils. These are all really good for you. So the bottom line is, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I always stress when I'm talking to people about butter, because everyone thinks butter is most of us think butter is not going to be a good source of nutrition or anything. But realistically, if you're getting it from a grass-fed source, there's essential saturated fats. There's some good omega-3s. There's some really good nutrients in that butter. Whereas if you're getting it from grain-fed or like your traditional fed and a lot of GMOs, you guys got to realize that we store toxins in our fat, and so if it's a really toxic cow, and we're getting butter from that toxic cow, we're consuming a lot of toxins as well. So you want to be very particular about the butter that you're using, and also not heating it up too much as well is going to be key as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So just kind of think about the food that you're eating ate. In other words, kind of trace it back. If it's a conventionally raised cattle or chicken, it's going to have a lot of antibiotics in there and a lot of chemicals that can be detrimental to your health. So, which goes along with lie number 4. Eating a lot of protein is bad for your health. Now, in certain situations, that can be true. If you have a kidney disease, for example, you don't want to eat a lot of protein. You typically want to eat a lot of vegetables, especially green leafy ones. But typically, protein, unless you're really just eating protein, it can be converted to sugar, actually. So insulin is sometimes used in the body to convert protein through a process called, ready for this one? Gluconeogenesis.
Ah, that's a cool word.
That's a fancy smancy word. Basically just saying your body's converting protein.
You did that like dictionary word today, didn't you?
Yeah, I spent my time researching. But essentially, moderate amounts of protein are well tolerated by most people. The bottom line is that the studies show that protein has positive effects on bone health in the long run, and it doesn't raise the risk of kidney disease in healthy individuals. So again, if you do have a kidney disorder, you definitely do not want to overdo it on protein. But typically, eating a higher protein diet has a lot of health benefits, and typically this is actually something we'll see with people who are taking medications. So for those of you out there, for example, taking a proton pump inhibitor for heartburn, you're going to have a harder time digesting and absorbing your protein because your stomach acid's been turned off. So typically we catch that in blood chemistry labs. But in general, protein is a good source for your body. Typically, people handle that well.
Yeah. I do know if you overdo it on protein, it can be inflammatory, though. So
absolutely,
you don't want to do. Usually, like if it's about 75 grams. If you got adrenal problems, if you're what is it? I think thyroid. You want to reduce it a little bit, not go overboard on it. If you have some thyroid issues.
Yeah, I think the rule of thumb is when you're looking at your plate, you're looking at where's my protein source coming from. So is that beef? Is that fish, wild fish? Is it wild game? It is hunting season. I just had some elk jerky. It was amazing.
Very nice.
Wild game is fantastic, typically really nutritious. And then you also have fish, and you want a moderate amount of protein. Most of the plate should be the green leafies and a small amount of of rice or something like that if you do rice. So yeah, everything in the right proportion for the right person. It really is individual.
All right, so what is lie number 5?
Number 5 is that everyone should be eating heart-healthy whole wheat.
Ooh, yikes.
So yes, this includes heart-healthy whole wheat. Wheat is the biggest source of gluten in the diet. New studies are showing that a significant percentage of the population may be sensitive to it. I think about 95% of the population has a food sensitivity. And many people, of those 95%, gluten definitely shows up. So in sensitive individuals, gluten can contribute to various symptoms like digestive issues, pain, bloating, stool inconsistency, fatigue, and it may damage the intestine, leading to leaky gut. And so typically the bottom line is that wheat is the biggest source of gluten in the diet. So all those breads and pastas can be problematic. And gluten, I would say probably gluten and dairy are the two biggest inflammatory agents food-wise. There's many others, but those are the big ones. And we're showing through the studies that wheat, including whole wheat, can really contribute to a variety of health problems. So chronic pain is one thing. I know there's some other things that we talk about for pain that are really effective that we see every week. Maybe you want to speak.
Yeah. So we really like and have found extremely good results with stem cell therapy at our clinic. So we'll do we have an event actually. We got a couple slots available. So if anyone has any joint pain and they're looking for some effective solutions that you can avoid surgery, if you're looking at your shoulder, you have shoulder issues or knees, you're considering knee replacement or anything like that, come to our upcoming event. It's Wednesday at 12:15. We do ask. We have a couple slots available, so please call. Don't just show up because we may not have room. But give us a call. Our number is 435-773-7790. That'll call our clinic office, and you can RSVP for our upcoming stem cell luncheon. That's again Wednesday at 12:15. and call us at 435-773-7790. All right, so if you're just tuning in, you're listening to East West Health Radio, and this is Cade. I'm here with Justin, and we're talking about the 13 nutrition lies that keep us fat and sick. And hopefully you guys are getting some amazing knowledge spit on you today, because I'm feeling good sitting next to Justin. So what's the next lie?
Number 6, coffee is bad for you. Oh, for all my coffee drinkers out there, this is like music to your ears, right?
Yeah, everyone's like pumped. Yes.
So it is true that coffee can, it is acidic typically, and it can mildly elevate your blood pressure. But we see long-term studies that, that look at coffee drinkers having a lower risk, 67% risk lower of type 2 diabetes, lower risk of getting Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and an 80% lower risk of liver diseases like cirrhosis. Now, caffeine can also help to mobilize fatty acids from the fat tissues, boost metabolism, and increase exercise performance by an average of 11-12%. So if you're sensitive, of course, to caffeine or it disrupts your sleep, then you might want to switch to a different type of caffeine, like a green tea, for example. It has a smaller amount of caffeine. Now, coffee really does depend on your health. So if you have adrenal issues, for example, this is not a one-size-fit-all. But if you do typically have some health conditions, coffee may not be the best thing that you could be doing. But typically, when we talk about the bottom line with coffee, it has a lot of antioxidants, and typically coffee drinkers are at a lower risk of developing some other, very serious diseases. So coffee in small doses is therapeutic.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to mention, if you're a coffee drinker, or you're looking and saying, "Hey, I'm going to start drinking coffee right now," that's not what we're telling you. But also look at where the source comes from. Kind of the guidelines. A lot of your coffee, like Starbucks, those beans sit on the shelf for like a year. Plus, and so they can accumulate mold. And so a lot of times, if you get the jitters after you drink a cup of coffee, or if you go to you get a random cup of coffee you've never had before and you just feel like garbage after you drank it, it's probably because there was mold toxins in it. That is your body's responding to that. So find a good source coffee. So from a good, clean, pesticide-free batch. And then also we don't ever drink coffee past 2 p.m. and don't ever have more than 2 cups in a day. And preferably just one, and mix some fats in it. That can actually help. It tastes a lot better. Don't do like sugar or anything. Just do like a little bit of grass-fed butter and some coconut oil or something like that. Blend it so it's not all weird tasting. But yeah,
it's actually like a healthier latte. That's what when you blend up that butter, it really does look like a latte. It looks like there's milk in there. So
yeah.
All right, lie number 7. Meat is bad for you. I've heard this before. So, one example is that meat, humans have been eating throughout our evolutionary history for millions of years. Now, for some strange reasons, there are people blaming meat for diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes, which are relatively new. Of course, with type 2 diabetes and heart disease, typically the underlying cause is too much sugar, which is inflammatory. Now, if you're eating the wrong types of meat and you're eating a lot of sugar, well, of course, that's a recipe for disaster. But just meat on its own and good quality meat is typically pretty good for you. Now, there are a few people who can really do well without meat. Typically, vegans, if there's proper supplementation and everyone is individual. So while sometimes we get into this habit of wanting to one size fits all, like traditional medicine, for example, with medications. That's just not the case, really, with health or with a lot of things. So we really have to keep it individualized in that sense. So the bottom line on this is that if studies are showing that unprocessed red meat does not raise your risk of cardiovascular disease or diabetes, there's a weak association with cancer, but most likely can be caused by excessive cooking and not the meat itself. So when you overcook meat, that can make it carcinogenic.
Yeah.
So
interesting thing is I found you can actually digest rare cooked meat a lot better. Obviously, be careful what type of meat that is, but like beef if it's rare cooked, you can actually digest that easier. That like gray, dark meat, that's a lot more difficult to digest.
Yep, absolutely. So, okay, moving on. Number 8, the healthiest diet is a low-fat, high-carb diet. Oh, we've had the food pyramid out telling us this for about 60 years, and how's that working for us? I mean, we've as a country getting fatter and sicker, and so typically, but that's been the recommendation: eating a lot of low-fat, high-carb diets. There's been a lot of studies that are contradicting this. On the Women's Health Initiative was one of the biggest. That was a study on diet, one of the biggest ever conducted. Actually, almost 49,000 women were randomized to either a low-fat diet or continue to eat the standard Western diet. And after 7.5 years, the low-fat group weighed only 1 pound less, and there was no decrease in cardiovascular disease or cancer. Other studies agree with these findings, essentially saying this diet is notoriously ineffective. So even though it may work for healthy and active individuals who are burning a lot of carbs, most people who are in the obese or overweight category or have metabolic syndrome or diabetes, low-fat diet, high-carb diet can be dangerous, really. So the bottom line is a low-fat, high-carb diet recommended by of our mainstream nutrition organizations has failed us, and it's repeatedly proved to be ineffective.
All right, so we're running short on time here. So if you're just tuning in and you're wondering what we're talking about nutrition lies that keep us fat and sick. And we have an event Wednesday. It's on stem cell therapy. If you have any joint issues, anything like that, give the clinic a call. Please RSVP for that. It's Wednesday at 12:15. Number of the clinic, 773-7790. That's 435-773-7790. All right, Justin, hurry and cruise through the last few lies.
Quickly, last 3 lies. Number 9, refined seed and vegetable oils are healthy. That is false. Refined seed and vegetable oils can increase inflammation in the body. Those are harmful omega-6 oils, and they raise your risk of cardiovascular disease. Number 10, low-carb diets are ineffective and downright harmful. This too, again, we kind of covered that on number 8. Same thing here. The bottom line is low-carb diets are the easiest, healthiest, and most effective way to lose weight and reverse metabolic disease. Number 11, everyone should be cutting back on sodium.
We could talk all day about that. Move on next. 12, sugar is bad because it contains empty calories. That is false. The bottom line, harmful effects of excess sugar go way beyond just empty calories. They have severe adverse effects on your metabolism, leading to weight gain and many serious diseases. And so essentially too much sugar is too bad. It really causes inflammation. And when people cut out sugar, they typically feel much better physically. Number 13.
Number 13, and finally, I feel like we need a drum roll. So, top lie, number 13, fat makes you fat. That is false. We see time and time again that fat does not make you fat, although logically you think that might be the case. Metabolically, it's not true when it gets into your body.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We are out of time. You guys are awesome. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to East West Health Radio, designed to educate you about better health. Tune in next Monday at 4:30 for East West Health Radio, right here on Fox News KZNU.